Prince was 30 seconds into the duck walk when his left knee buckled and 20,000 people gasped because the man who could do splits in 6-inch heels couldn't move 3 feet while playing guitar. But backstage, 2 hours earlier, Chuck Berry had smiled and said something that would haunt Prince for the rest of the night. "Gymnastics are impressive, kid, but rock and roll? That's a whole different beast." The stage lights at the summit blazed purple and gold, cutting through the Houston heat. Prince's cloud guitar hung at an awkward angle as he tried to maintain the low squat Chuck Berry had made famous 3 decades ago. Sweat beaded on his forehead, not from the lights, but from realization. June 20th, 1986, the parade tour. Houston, Texas. Those 20,000 people were watching something they'd never seen. Prince failing. His right leg trembled. The guitar neck dipped toward the floor. The simple blues riff died in his fingers as his left knee gave out, and he caught himself on the monitor wedge before hitting the stage. The arena went silent. Not the respectful silence of a ballad, the shocked silence of witnessing the impossible. Prince looked toward the wings where Chuck Berry stood watching, arms crossed. The 60-year-old legend hadn't moved, just watched as the 28-year-old superstar learned what 30 years of muscle memory actually meant. But no one knew they were about to witness something rarer than flawless performance. 2 legends admitting what they couldn't do. May 1986. 3 weeks earlier, the Rolling Stone conference room smelled like cigarette smoke and old coffee. Chuck Berry sat across from Eric Clapton and Keith Richards for Guitar Gods, Past, Present, and Future. The moderator asked the question that would ripple through music. "Chuck, your thoughts on Prince as a guitarist?" Chuck lit a cigarette. Let the silence build. "Prince? Talented kid, very talented. Does those splits on stage?" Keith Richards laughed. "The splits are insane. I can barely stand at this point." Chuck leaned back. "Splits are impressive, athletic, but splits are gymnastics, not rock and roll signature. My duck walk, I created that 1956, 30 years ago. Still my move. Duck walk isn't just movement. It's playing guitar while moving. Coordination, balance, style, all together." He gestured with his cigarette. "Prince's splits? He stops playing guitar, does the split, then plays. 2 separate things. Duck walk? Guitar never stops. Music plus movement equals one thing." Eric Clapton nodded. "To be fair, Chuck, nobody can duck walk like you." "Exactly. And I bet Prince can't do it. I bet if he tries, he falls, because duck walk isn't about being young or flexible. It's about practice. 30 years of practice." The moderator leaned forward. "Would you challenge Prince to try?" Chuck grinned. "I'd love to see him try. He's performing Houston next month. Maybe I'll visit. Show him what a real signature move looks like." The interview hit newsstands. June 5th. By June 6th, every music magazine ran the headline, "Chuck Berry challenges Prince, duck walk versus splits." Prince read it June 7th in Los Angeles, preparing for the parade tour. Chuck Berry, foundation of rock and roll. "I learned his licks when I was 10. Prince set the magazine down. "Duck walk? I've never tried it. Looks easy. Just squat and move, right?" His assistant hesitated. "Chuck says you'd fall. Says it takes 30 years of practice." Prince's ego kicked in. 30 years? I learned piano in 1 week, guitar in 2 weeks. I can learn duck walk in 1 day. He reached for the phone. "Call Chuck Berry. Invite him to Houston show, June 20th. Tell him I'll duck walk on stage. He can watch." The invitation went out June 8th. Chuck's response came June 9th. "I'll be there." Prince spent 11 days practicing in every rehearsal space and empty stage. His band watched him fall, watched him catch himself on drum risers and piano legs, watched frustration build as his body refused what his mind insisted was simple. But Prince kept practicing. Because legends don't back down, especially not when 20,000 people are about to watch. June 20th, 6 p.m., 2 hours before showtime, Chuck Berry arrived backstage wearing a leather jacket that had seen 30 years of stages, carrying his Gibson ES 355. Prince's assistant escorted him to the dressing room. Prince stood when Chuck entered, extended his hand. "Chuck Berry, legend, honor to meet you." Chuck's handshake was firm. "Prince, heard good things, saw Purple Rain. Impressive work." They sat. Chuck placed his guitar case on the makeup table. "You invited me because of Rolling Stone. Duck Walk Challenge." Prince didn't hesitate. "I read it. You said I can't duck walk. I'm proving you wrong. Tonight, on stage." Chuck leaned back, amused. "You think you can duck walk? I've been practicing all week. I can do it. Show me. Right now. Here." Prince blinked. "Here? In the dressing room? If you can do it. Here, you can do it on stage. If you can't," Chuck let it hang, "don't embarrass yourself in front of 20,000 people." Prince grabbed his cloud guitar, strapped it on, started playing a simple riff, warming up. Then he squatted. The first step was wrong. His center of gravity shifted forward, guitar pulling him off balance. He caught himself on the makeup table. Chuck watched. Said nothing. Prince tried again. Squat, step, play. His thighs burned after 10 seconds. The riff went simple, then simpler, then stopped as he focused on not falling. 3 minutes. That's how long Prince lasted before stopping, breathing hard, legs shaking. "You're thinking about too many things," Chuck said quietly. "Feet, guitar, balance. Duck walk requires muscle memory. You can't think about it. Your body has to know it." Prince sat, removing the guitar, genuinely humbled. "I practiced 1 week. You've done this 30 years. 1956 I started. Fell 1,000 times. Injured knees. Strained my back, but I mastered it. Became my signature." Chuck leaned forward. "Your splits? How long did those take?" Prince thought back. "Started at 12. Gymnastics training. 2 years to do a split while playing guitar. Even now I can't play complex solos during a split. Just hold chords. So you understand, signature moves aren't easy. They're earned. Through pain, through years, through dedication." Chuck stood. "You want to duck walk tonight? You'll fall. 20,000 people will see Prince tried to copy Chuck Berry. Failed." Prince's ego flared, but Chuck kept talking. "Or we do something better." What Chuck proposed would turn competition into something the music world had never seen. "Can you do a split?" Chuck asked. Prince looked up. "What? Can I do a split? I'm 60. My knees barely let me duck walk. A split? I'd break my hip." "Exactly." Prince stood slowly. "Splits are my thing. Duck walk is your thing. Now you're getting it." Chuck set his case down. "We each have signatures because we earned them. You trying to duck walk tonight? That's not respect. That's copying. So what do you suggest?" Chuck grinned. "Tonight, we do both. On stage, I duck walk, you split. Together. Show 20,000 people 2 generations, 2 signatures, both valid, both legendary." Prince extended his hand. "Deal, but you're playing Johnny B. Good. Your song." Chuck shook it. "And you'll play Purple Rain. Your song." The door opened. 30 minutes to showtime. Prince looked at Chuck. "Ready to show Houston what 30 years looks like?" Chuck picked up his case. "Kid, I was born ready." Neither knew that Keith Richards would later watch bootleg footage in a London pub saying, "That's not competition. That's rock and roll church. HPM." House lights dropped. 20,000 voices erupted as Prince took the stage in purple, cloud guitar gleaming under spotlights. The parade tour had been electric every night, but Houston felt different, charged with something beyond usual concert energy. Raspberry Beret opened, then Kiss, then 1999. The crowd sang every word, voices shaking the steel beams. Prince moved through choreography with the precision that made him untouchable, spins defying physics, slides in heeled boots that shouldn't allow movement. Backstage, Chuck Berry watched with the eye of someone who'd been doing this since before most of the audience was born. He saw the technique, the practice, the years of work hidden behind what looked effortless. 9:04 p.m. Purple Rain closed the first set. Prince at the piano, sweat soaking through his shirt, the crowd swaying to every note. The final chord rang out. The arena erupted. Prince caught his breath, looked toward the wings where Chuck stood, nodded once. Then he turned to the microphone. "Houston, I have a special guest tonight, the man who created rock and roll. The man who taught me that some moves belong to one person forever." Confusion rippled through the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Berry." The arena exploded. This wasn't polite applause. This was recognition. Many had never seen Chuck Berry live. Some didn't know he still performed at 60, but everyone knew the name. Everyone knew the songs. Chuck walked on carrying his Gibson like a weapon used in 1,000 battles, gray hair catching purple lights. The crowd gave him a standing ovation lasting 2 minutes. Prince handed Chuck a cable. Chuck plugged in. Two men face to face, 1958 born, looking at 1926 born, 2 generations connected by 6 strings. Chuck turned to the audience. "Thank you, Houston. I've been playing rock and roll 40 years. Never gets old." He looked at Prince. "Never gets easy either," the crowd laughed. "I'm about to play Johnny Be Good for you, but I need to tell you something first." Chuck's voice carried the weight of every stage he'd stood on. "I'm 60 years old. My knees are shot. This might be the last time I ever do the duck walk." Murmurs through the crowd. The legendary move. "So watch carefully, because some things you only get to see once. But what happened next would prove that legends aren't born. They're built, one painful step at a time." The opening riff of Johnny Be Good hit like lightning. Chuck Berry's fingers moved across the Gibson with confidence born from 10,000 performances. The riff was deceptively simple, the kind of simple that only comes after decades of stripping away everything that doesn't matter. The crowd recognized it instantly. Bodies moved, hands clapped. This was the foundation, the bedrock of everything rock and roll had become. Chuck sang the first verse standing, his voice rougher than 1958, but carrying the same swagger. Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans. Then came the chorus. Chuck's knees bent. The crowd's noise changed pitch, anticipation replacing enjoyment. They knew what was coming. Chuck Berry squatted low, impossibly low for 60 years old, and began to move the duck walk. Left leg back, right leg forward. The Gibson never stopped screaming. Chuck's fingers flew across frets, even as his body moved in that signature backwards walk, defying every law of balance. 20,000 people lost their minds. Prince watched from stage right, legs still sore from the failed attempt 2 hours earlier. He saw what he hadn't understood before. This wasn't just movement. It was architecture. Every muscle worked together. Thighs holding the squat core maintaining balance, shoulders keeping guitar level, fingers never missing a note. Chuck Duck walked from stage left to stage right, 30 feet in 90 seconds. The guitar solo was flawless. Classic Chuck Berry licks, copied by everyone from Beatles to Rolling Stones, but never quite captured the way Chuck played them, because Chuck Berry wasn't playing notes. He was playing history. Prince saw something else. Pain. Chuck's face showed it briefly. A flicker of strain as his left knee took full weight during a complex passage. But Chuck kept going, because the move wasn't about looking cool, it was about commitment, about finishing what you started. The final phrase came, a high note bend ringing out clear and perfect even as Chuck was still squatting, still moving. Then he stood, and the crowd erupted into 15 minutes of sustained applause. Chuck Berry stood center stage, breathing hard but smiling, and Prince understood. This was what 30 years looked like. This was why signatures couldn't be copied. But the night wasn't over yet. Prince walked to center stage, picked up his guitar. The crowd quieted as he approached the microphone. "Chuck Berry just did something I can't do." Prince's voice was quiet, honest. "I tried, Backstage, 2 hours ago, I tried to duck walk. Lasted about 30 seconds before I fell, the crowd murmured. Prince admitting failure. But Chuck taught me something. He asked if he could do a split. Prince looked at Chuck standing stage side. He's 60. He can barely duck walk anymore. A split? He'd break his hip, knowing laughter from the crowd. So tonight isn't about competition. It's about celebration. Chuck has his signature. I have mine. Both earned, both valid, both impossible for the other person to do. He started, Purple Rain, just guitar, clean and simple. The crowd swayed. Prince played through verse and chorus. Then the solo began. Mid-solo, holding a sustained note that rang through the arena like a prayer, Prince dropped. Full split, legs 180 degrees. Guitar still in his hands, the note sustaining, body perfectly balanced in a position defying human anatomy. 20,000 people roared. They'd seen Prince do splits before, but after Chuck's duck walk, after understanding what 30 years meant, they saw it differently. They saw the work, the training, the hours of falling and trying again. Prince held the split for 30 seconds, not complex phrases, just sustaining notes, bending strings, making the guitar sing while his body demonstrated something only he could do. Then he stood, smooth, no hands, pure leg strength making gravity simply release him. Chuck walked to center stage. Prince met him halfway. 2 legends, 2 signatures. Have you ever realized your unique gift wasn't about being better than someone else, but about being the only one who could do it your way? That's what these 2 men showed Houston that night. Chuck spoke first. Prince just did something I can't do. I try that. I'm in the hospital. Prince took the mic. Chuck just did something I can't do. I tried. I fell. We each have our signatures, Chuck said, earned through years, through pain, through dedication nobody sees. Chuck created duck walk in 1956, Prince added. I was born 1958. His move is older than me. That's legacy. And Prince created Prince. Chuck's smile was genuine. Nobody moves like him. Nobody is him. That's his legacy. 2 generations, 2 styles, both valid. That's rock and roll, Prince finished. But the finale would prove that the best way to celebrate differences is to put them side by side and let them shine together. One more time, Chuck said. Let's play Johnny Be Good together. The revolution locked in immediately. The opening riff started, but this time 2 guitars played it. Chuck's Gibson and Prince's cloud guitar, voices blending ancient and new. They played through verse and chorus. Chuck looked at Prince. Prince looked at Chuck. They both grinned, simultaneously. Chuck squatted into duck walk, and Prince dropped into his split. The visual was impossible. Chuck moving backwards in that low squat, playing guitar like it was the easiest thing in the world. Prince frozen in a split, guitar across his lap, fingers dancing on frets. 2 signatures, 1 stage, history in real time. The crowd understood they were witnessing something that would never happen again. Every person would spend the rest of their lives describing this moment. This was the story they'd tell their children. Chuck Duck walked left to right. Prince, in his split, rotated to follow Chuck's movement, still playing, still locked in that impossible position. The final chorus hit. Both men returned to standing, faced the crowd, hit the last chord together. The noise was deafening. Chuck and Prince embraced, not a photo op, but a real embrace between 2 men who respected what the other had built. Backstage, 11:30 p.m. Prince sat with ice packs on both legs. Chuck rubbed his knees. They hurt. Always hurt after duck walking, had hurt since 1960. I underestimated the difficulty, Prince said. 1 week of practice. You've done it 30 years, and I haven't done a split since 1945, Chuck replied. 40 years ago. I underestimated yours, too. Comfortable silence. The arena was empty. The crowd gone, just 2 musicians and the aftermath of something rare. Rolling Stone interview, Prince said. You said my splits were just gymnastics. I was offended. I was being dismissive. But what I meant, I know what you meant now, Prince interrupted gently. Signatures are called signatures for a reason. They're unique, can't be copied, must be earned, and I made gymnastics rock and roll, Prince continued, just like you made duck walk rock and roll. We both took something from outside music and made it part of music, Chuck nodded. That's innovation. That's why we're both legends. We didn't just play better. We played different. Does it hurt? Prince asked. The duck walk. Your knees. Chuck was quiet. Every time. Since 1960. Knees are destroyed. But I keep doing it because it's mine. My contribution. When I'm gone, people will remember Chuck Berry duck walked. Nobody else. Just me. When I'm gone, Prince said softly, people will remember Prince did splits, in heels, while playing guitar. Nobody else. Just me. Chuck extended his hand. To signatures, to legacy, to being unforgettable. Prince shook it. To legends who create, not copy. The next morning, Rolling Stone called both camps. The magazine's cover 3 weeks later showed split screen. Chuck Duck walking, Prince in a split. Headline. 2 legends, 2 signatures, 1 stage. In 2016, Prince died at 57. In 2017, Chuck Berry died at 90. Before Chuck passed, he gave one final interview about Houston. His voice was weak, but memory clear. Prince tried to learn my move, failed, but the trying? That was respect. When he put his signature next to mine on that stage, not competing, just celebrating, that's when I knew rock and roll would survive, because it's not about who's better. It's about what each of us creates that nobody else can touch. That Houston night? That was rock and roll church. Keith Richards, watching bootleg footage years later in a London pub. 2 of the greatest showmen in rock history proved signatures matter. Mick struts, Chuck Duck walked, Prince split, Elvis shook hips. We all have our thing. That's how you become unforgettable. The lesson wasn't about music, it was about identity, about earning your place through years of work nobody sees, about respecting what came before while creating what comes next, about understanding the throne is big enough for every legend who truly deserves to sit there, because real legends don't copy, they create. And then they celebrate when someone else creates something just as impossible, just as beautiful, just as uniquely theirs. Share this story with someone who needs to remember that their unique gift isn't about being better than others. It's about being the only one who can do it their way, because that's how legacies are built, one impossible move at a time.